Aloha, beautiful people. My name is Nicole Miranda, Ms. Hawaii 2025, and the formal title I have right now is actually Ms. Hawaii United USA 2025. So you can see the logo right here, and this is my sash. I've had some people inquire about if I'm Miss Hawaii, as in MISS. So I just want to clarify for anybody, because I know before I was involved in pageantry, I had no idea how many different pageants there actually were. And it's really an interesting world. So I just got back from a Queen Soirée, and it was all of the pageant queens in Hawaii. And I'll tell you a little bit about all of them. But it was really beautiful because we got to learn about each other and really come together with an amazing group of women. So that's why I'm all dressed up, and I thought, what a better time than now to do this story about Ms. Hawaii. So as a lot of you guys know, I went to the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat about 2 weeks after I won the Ms. Hawaii pageant. And my story that I used his meditations for winning the pageant actually ended up getting picked up by him and his team, and they recently posted me on Stories of Transformation. And it's really beautiful that I've had the opportunity now to impact a lot more people, because that was truly my sole reason for doing this. I actually almost dropped out of the pageant a lot of times, and now I'm really grateful that I didn't, because it's led me to a lot of cool opportunities, but it's also stretched my reach. And I know this year a big goal of mine and aspiration, a life aspiration, is to serve as an inspiration for other women. When I was a sales director, I mentored a lot of younger women who kind of saw me as a big sister, and now I'm able to kind of grow that reach beyond my immediate circle of friends or just employees that I've worked with. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. So the pageant that I actually ran in is called Ms./Mrs. Hawaii. This is the pageant program for it. And I was in the Ms. category because I'm single. Married women were in the Mrs. category. There's no age requirements for this pageant. It's all 18 and up. So I'm 38 years old. This was my first beauty pageant I've ever entered. Trust me when I say this was not something I ever expected to be doing at this age, really just at any point in my life. It's very different than who I am, but it's been a really cool opportunity that I'm going to talk to you about. And I have a few notes here as always, because again, I'm not a fancy techie person. I'm not going to spend a ton of time editing this video. I just want you to get it real, raw, authentic, straight to the point. But with that, I want to glance at my notes so that I make sure I don't skip over anything. I even put some fancy lights up here today. I don't know if you can tell. As this podcast or this YouTube series grows and evolves, I will eventually have better equipment. But for right now, I just want to get the content out there because I have a lot of people asking me about a lot of different things. So with that, I'll go ahead and explain how I got into the pageant world. Earlier this year, when I came back from Bali, a very spiritual yoga journey, talk more on that later, I went to the Miss Hawaii, which is MISS, different than this one, Ms. MS, which is unmarried women over 18. Miss Hawaii is the bigger pageant that goes to Miss America, and it's televised. The one I was in was not televised. It's picture it like leagues, right? Like a soccer league or a baseball league. You have the minor leagues, the major leagues. Say my pageant was like the minor leagues. So nonetheless, it wasn't something I expected to participate in this year, but I saw some commentary on the Dr. Joe's YouTube where people were like, oh, she didn't win Miss Hawaii, that's Isha Rose, or blah, blah, blah. And I know Isha, I know pretty much all the other pageant girls after tonight. I'm not trying to claim to be anybody else's title. We all know the differences here. So I think people are projecting some of their own insecurities and commenting on that because, people like to cause drama, but either way, the point isn't which pageant did I win. It's Ms. Hawaii. Now you guys know. And again, I know it's confusing for a lot of people because we're not familiar with the pageant world, and pageants have evolved a lot. So a lot of people also think of pageantry as being something that's very superficial or just about this, right? The glitz and glam, the makeup. I did my own makeup today, which I'm really proud of. But it's about a lot more than that. It's actually, and I didn't know this before I was involved either. It's more challenging, I think, to participate in a pageant than anyone would ever think. And I've done a lot of difficult things in my life. And again, it's about a lot more than just the physical beauty. There's a philanthropy side to it. There's your platform, what you stand for. There's an interview. So it's, you know, your personality, your leadership skills. And there's all different pageants. There's Ms. Hawaii, there's Mrs. Hawaii, there's Miss Hawaii Petite, there's Miss Hawaii International, there's Ms. Hawaii Filipina. There's so many. I met so many amazing girls tonight at the show. And if you guys follow my Instagram, you'll see more pictures there. I'll try to slice in a few pictures at the end of this video. But again, I don't want to waste too much time getting fancy with the content because I just want to shoot it straight and get to the point. So one of the other things for the pageant that you're scored on is actually your pageant bio and your platform and your pages in the program. So this is my page in the program. I was previously Ms. Ala Moana. That's the area that I live in over here. It's an area of Honolulu. So generally in larger states, you would participate in a local pageant first. So this was actually my first title, was Ms. Ala Moana. I did not have to participate in a pageant to win this, but I was nominated and selected, and there was a criteria that was reviewed. So each candidate runs as a certain area in Hawaii. So I was Ms. Ala Moana. I have my pageant stuff behind me. I did a little different scenery today so you guys can see some of the stuff. But so that was who I was running as, and it's an honor to represent this area. It's a beautiful, amazing area that I live in, and I'm so grateful. But point being, it's kind of like applying for a job to be Miss Hawaii. You are applying to represent the state. So I'm going to read to you a little bit more about what the score is actually based on, so you guys at home have an idea how it goes, right? And then also behind me, there's a couple other awards that I got, and I'll share those later. But essentially, the judges are looking for a strong woman who can be a good representative for the state of Hawaii on both a state and a national level. Someone who's beautiful inside and out. Someone who stands out to win the national title. And then judges are also scoring, like I said, the pages in the program, which is sponsorship ads, different businesses that sponsored me, the hiking store I work at. Shout out to Aloha, my buddy Justin's store. I'll tag them as well. And you can also get a discount if you use my code, Amazing Hiking Gear. Anyway, don't want to start with too much advertisements yet. I'm still new to YouTube. But yeah, represented all the different things that I do. So me outside my apartment, yoga, and then there's a blurb and a bio. We also had to write a whole bio that's 2 pages long. And you just talk about yourself, what you do for a living, your education, special talents, community involvement, what it would mean to win, what my pageant platform is about, what do you feel is the role of a contemporary woman in today's society, something unique about you. I talked about being a pizza queen to a pageant queen. More on that later. I posted a little short on my pizza queen title that I had in Tampa. And then describe 3 words that describe me and an interesting experience that was very educational to you, which of course for me was my yoga platform. So with this bio, let me rewind for a second. We prepped for the pageant for about 3 months, 2-3 months. I had a pageant coach, Meg, who was amazing, and she helped teach me how to walk, talk, stand, what they're kind of looking for, type of dress to get. That was amazing. And it was very serendipitous how I got aligned with her, a good friend of mine here in the yoga community, kind of intuited that I needed help with it, and he kind of volunteered to be my campaign manager. He was amazing. And he ended up getting connected with Meg that week after we met, and then she's a pageant director herself for a different pageant, and she's incredible. So he connected us, and then we would have weekly meetings where we practiced my walk. Let me tell you, I had no idea how difficult it would be to, one, walk in heels, because I got rid of 90% of the heels that I owned last year when they got ruined in a little wet situation. Long story, but I had them stored at a friend's house and they got molded, so I had to get rid of all of them. And honestly, nobody wears heels here in Hawaii. It's super casual, so I was like, whatever. So I got rid of those heels. I generally don't dress all this glammed up. I did sort of when I lived in Tampa, but not so much anymore. So this is very over the top for me. I got rid of most of my dresses. I really do live in slippas, as we call them in Hawaii, which are flip-flops if you're on the mainland, and neon yoga clothes, and I'm barefoot a lot. I don't wear any makeup. So it was a whole big transition for me to step into this. That all being said, it's not about a superficial thing. The reason I did this pageant was the opportunity actually got dropped into my lap when I was attending the larger Miss Hawaii pageant in March. I actually had this beautiful neon green like showstopper gown on, and I had this like intuitive vision before I went that someone was going to ask me to get on stage, and lo and behold, one of my friends that I was with there knew about this upcoming pageant, so she nominated me for this. And then they were calling me like the next day, yes, you're perfect for this, let's get you in there. So a few people had reached out, and it kind of fell into my lap. And for me, the biggest reason I did this was I've been stepping more and more into my divine feminine due to yoga, learning how to balance out my sun and my moon, my masculine and my feminine energy, because I leaned into my sun energy for too long. And we'll have a whole nother episode on this later, but yoga teaches you to be balanced between so many things, including the balance of your masculine and feminine energy. And I realized I was suppressing my feminine energy for a really long time. I was rejecting that side of myself. I thought women were weak. I thought if I had emotions, that was weak. And I was really trying to be a dude in a dude's world because of my sales career, because I was always in athletics, because I worked in a male-dominated industry for forever. That's just what you do, right? And it's all dog eat dog and compete. And now that I've gotten out of that mentality, it was part of my journey, but I can't even imagine how I lived in that for so long. I would honestly say I was the most competitive person I knew. And it's so funny that I'm now competing in these pageants, because for me, I'm finally at a place of full self-love and abundance, and I'm not competing with myself for once. I've softened on myself. I listen to my body. I don't force things anymore. And I don't really compete with others. I know there's so much to go around, and the more we build each other up, we really are all connected, the more we succeed. So it's just interesting that it fell into place with this. But with that being said, what the pageant is judged on too, I'll share a little bit about this. It's 25% is actually based on an interview that you do the day before the pageant. So 24 hours before, we sit with the panel of judges, and it's only a 5-minute interview, but they go over what your platform is, and they ask you, 5 questions, however many questions you can get through. And that was actually my favorite part of this whole thing. I like to speak, as you guys can probably tell. I've been in sales. I know how to talk to people. That's the easiest part for me. Walking on a stage in heels and carrying myself a certain way, and all this glitz and glam is different. It's not something I've been exposed to so much since my Hawaii life and this journey that I've been on. So I went into the interview very confident, and then I crushed it. I knew I did really, really well. I ended up actually winning Best Interview, which is exciting because, again, that was my favorite part. Not just because I knew that I would do well in it, but because it gave me the opportunity to share my voice. And a big part of the reason I did this pageant is to have a platform to share my story. I am writing my first book about escaping the matrix and aligning with your soul and manifesting your dream life. I'm using my own story. It's like a self-help book, and I'm using my own story as a guide, and then giving practical exercises and, just helping walk alongside people. I eventually want to do life coaching. So all this stuff kind of goes in flow with where I'm going, what I'm doing, motivational speaking that I'm moving into, podcasts, different interviews, all these really cool opportunities have been coming my way. But the interview was an opportunity to share my story of transformation from being an overwhelmed corporate sales director to, super drained, the insomnia I had, the anxiety. It was intense for many years. I mean, I was living like I was in fight or flight survival mode, even though it was just a sales quota, right? But I was making it like it was everything to me. And my brain, my body, I was really suffering for a while, and I struggled. I've talked about this, but we'll go deeper another show. Really, really struggled with my mental and physical health for a long time. And once I found Hawaii, I made a lot of big changes, and I want to help people do that. I used a series of affirmations, journaling, hypnosis, different spiritual practices, yoga. I quit drinking 3 years ago when I moved to Hawaii. Different holistic health practices, energy work. I work really closely with a spiritual coach. So all of these things were part of my journey. And I feel like when I got my yoga certification, I learned these secrets that aren't really secrets, but the Western world, the United States, Europe, we're living in this, dog eat dog world. And we are missing a lot of the Eastern world culture and ideas that really make for a beautiful balance and peace and harmony in one's life. And that's more what I'm stepping into and embracing. And Hawaii is that perfect place that's, in between Asia and some of those other places like that and the US. So it really gave me a place to reset. So my whole journey in Hawaii has been about finding self-love, true radical self-acceptance, taking really good care of my body, listening to my body, not following what society tells me to do, really just doing exactly what I want to do. And that's how I have started to thrive. And the more I've leaned into that and cleared out the noise and done the inner healing work, the more grateful I've been, the more magic has come to me, the more synchronicities. And that's what I'm sharing in my book. There's a lot of details of, oh my gosh, how much I used to drink and party, and how I thought I was doing what I was supposed to be doing and I should be happy, but I felt really unfulfilled for a really, really long time, but I didn't know the answers because nobody teaches you how to think for yourself. We're taught to grow up, go to school, get a job, move up in the ranks, make more money, then you're happy, then you get married, then you live behind the white picket fence, you have babies, right? That's not everybody's journey, and that wasn't mine. For some people that may be, and that's wonderful, but for me, I had a different path, and I want to tell people that that's okay, whatever their path is. We're all very, very unique, and I can't wait to finish my book. It'll be out end of this year, early next year. I'm pushing hard now that I do have this title. But so that's why the interview meant so much to me. It was really, this whole show was about me stepping on stage and showing the transformations that I made. I feel like a completely different person now than I did even 8-9 months ago. And I'm really proud of that. I've worked hard on myself, but I've also softened on myself, and I've embraced higher consciousness and surrounding myself with the right people, places, and then really great things have been coming into my life. So with that, 25% of the pageant score is based on the interview. 25% is on the evening gown, so something elegant, something that stands out. You walk elegantly, you're poised. Swimsuit, physically fit, that's another 25%. Are you confident? And then the other 25% is the on-stage question. How do you answer it? Do you have a clear, strong message? And I actually intuited what my on-stage question was going to be too. I ended up getting the question, what does success mean to you? And it was such a beautiful question because I feel my definition of success has drastically changed over the last year or two. It used to be so tied to career and accolades and financial success and wealth and what kind of big house am I living in and fancy car and what nice watches and shoes am I buying. Now it's much more about being in alignment, living in my truth, helping other people, living my day-to-day and enjoying it and enjoying the journey. So those are what the score was based off of. As a lot of you guys know, I was using the Dr. Joe meditations to lean into the quantum field and latch on to, I shouldn't say latch on because we don't want to be too tightly tied to anything, but to connect with the frequency of me winning the pageant and me being the queen. So I'm going to do another episode just on Dr. Joe and his stuff and how he teaches and what meditations I've been doing, what I liked, what I learned. It's pretty in depth. Like he really goes deep on the science of it, how quantum physics works, how energy works, how it works throughout the system, the chakras, or your energy channels, as he likes to call it, tuning into the frequency. The big overarching concept is between your heart and your brain. So you want a coherent heart and a coherent brain. Clear intention that you send out with your brain. You think about it, you visualize, you feel what you want to, or what you want to manifest and draw in. And then with your heart, you tune into your heart to love, to that feeling, to that joy, to that emotion that draws in whatever experience and of that energy that you want. So when you're creating in the quantum field, again, I'm going to go much deeper into this. I talked a little bit about it in the Dr. Joe YouTube. So I'll share the link for that again if you haven't seen it on his Stories of Transformation. It's a quick 4-minute thing about my pageant journey, but this goes a little bit deeper. But I was studying his course leading up to the Miss Hawaii journey because the Dr. Joe retreat was 2 weeks after the pageant in Denver. So it was like the perfect way for me to come back to my center after being so out in the public eye. And when I was meditating and listening to the lectures and practicing Dr. Joe's method, I was, here in my room and I was like, okay, let's play with this. Why don't we think about winning the Miss Hawaii pageant and how I'm going to feel? And the way I envisioned it was that I was stepping on stage again as a representative of, first of all, women and the power of what we can create and who we can be, and that we can shift our life at any point, because at 35 is when I moved out here and completely, left behind an incredible sales career. I made tons of changes here in Hawaii. Another episode on that again. But all the work that I've done and how happy I am and how I can serve as an example for others. So I pictured myself stepping onto that stage, walking gracefully in my heels, because Lord knows that was a challenge for me. It was, mind you, there were tons of practices. We practiced every Saturday for like 2 hours at least, and then once a week with my pageant coach. It was a lot of work. Just know that pageantry is not as simple as it seems on the outside. It's not just pretty girls standing up there. You need to learn how to pose, how your body looks, how the dress looks, how to walk a certain way, how to carry yourself. So I envisioned myself walking confidently on stage. I envisioned myself walking tall and proud in the heels and, making the right movements and capturing the judges. I pictured myself nailing the interview. I pictured what it was going to feel like when my friends were watching me on stage and they call my name. Oh, the next Miss Hawaii is Nicole Miranda. And how I was going to react and how I was going to feel when I had this put on my head and this sash here, and the emotions, the people around me, the energy, the crowd cheering. That was my heart drawing it in. So the intention with my brain was winning Miss Hawaii, and not just to have a title, not just to say I'm a beauty queen, for the purpose of sharing my book, growing my hiking tours that are magic, that help a lot of people, eventually doing life coaching, motivational speaking, hosting my full moon ceremonies, doing all of this stuff I do with yoga and energy on a much broader scale. And I had no idea it was going to lead to me being, interviewed and be on Dr. Joe's YouTube, which is just an incredible extra magic to it, and so much more. But I was using that, and I just felt so strongly the sense of like, I'm so grateful and happy for where I am now and where I've come from and the work I've done to get here, and that I really am living my dream life in the place that I love. I have my dream career. I take people on island tours. It's incredible. And I felt it. Like, I was crying so much, and it was as if it was all happening. So, I said this on the Dr. Joe show, or not the show, but the YouTube. I had no reaction when the crown got called, because I already felt like I created it in the field and I knew it was going to happen. I felt so confident about it. In addition to that, on the pageant bios, I'll share something funny. I actually wrote contestant number 1 here when we filled out the pageant bios, like a month prior to the show. We had to fill this out and turn it in for our pageant directors to review. And we didn't have our numbers yet. We didn't know what contestant number we were. So I just wrote number 1 because I'm number 1, woo. So then a few weeks later, right before the show, we drew numbers out of a hat, and I drew number one. And I was like, yes, I'm number one. And everyone's like, what? Why do you want to be number one? And I was like, because I'm number one. Why not? I get to go first. So some people thought that would put me at a disadvantage, and I just felt strongly that I could be really confident and carry myself the way I wanted to. So this was my number that was like next to my name where I got ready in my station. I ended up being number one, and yes, I was number one in multiple categories. I also won the People's Choice vote, which was friends that voted for me. Oh, that was cool. We got a little infinity symbol on there. That I actually have my lights out here. But yeah, it was incredible. And I also have this other crown that's a gold crown that I got for the People's Choice. So with all of that, that's a little bit more about the pageant process, how I got involved. In addition to the Dr. Joe meditations, I was doing some other stuff with energy, as far as I work very closely with my spiritual coach. I'll do a whole episode probably on the work I've done with her. She's amazing, Natalie. And I'll share information about that. She did a Queen Code activation for me 2 nights before the show, where we also tuned into the frequency of me winning and knowing that whatever happened on the stage, I was already a queen. And that was just so beautiful. I love working with her. And I really did. I think this is another reason that I was able to manifest this so quickly and so easily. I was unattached to the outcome. So a lot of people are like, oh, you would have been so upset if you didn't win. And I thought about this before the show. I was like, would I be upset if I didn't win the pageant? I really had to stop and think to myself. And at first I was like, yeah, I would be a little bit, because I spent too much time, money, and energy in practice. And I didn't love the whole training process. I don't agree with walking in heels and the way we sashay our hips. It's actually, I'll go on the record saying this, it is not good for your body. So you have to do things to level that out. As a yogi, it's not good for your alignment. You're supposed to stand tall, balanced on 2 flat feet. Heels are not good for you. They're actually bad for you mentally and physically, for your whole health, and it throws off all the alignment. So I had a lot of inner conflict, and I almost dropped out. And I decided, you know what, I invested too much into this. I had friends and businesses that invested money and sponsorships and were coming to the show. So I decided to stick it out. But it was interesting. I realized that when I really sat back and looked at it, I was like, wait, will I be upset? And I was like, probably for that night, I'd be a little bit upset, because I did put forth a lot of effort. But then I was like, no, I already feel like a queen in my everyday life. I live in, it feels like a castle to me. I'm up high. I look over this beautiful beach. I feel happy. I feel like I'm in my divine feminine. I'm in my power, and I know my power, and I know what I'm able to create. So I was like, actually, then I don't have to do all this. I don't have to get all glammed up, wear makeup, wear heels. I could be back out in the mountains hiking. I could be doing my yoga. I could be traveling. I still go back to writing my book. I still do everything the way that I was. And I was like, no, it really doesn't matter. I realized that this doesn't define me, win or lose. So I really do feel like that was a big part of the reason that I won, in addition to tuning into the energy. It was just like, if this is meant to be, great, because when you cling too tightly, you push things away. But when we have a loose connection, when we tune into that frequency, the universe will give us what is right for us. And now I do think that this was what was right for me, because again, it's connected me with so many, first of all, amazing women from the pageant journey. And secondly, the whole Dr. Joe team and the publicity that I've gotten, and the notoriety, and the different connections, and the people that I've been able to inspire around the world. I mean, it's like, it's crazy. It's still really amazing, and I'm really grateful. So the other things that I was doing too, I had created a vision board after one of my full moon ceremonies. I was calling in winning. That was on my full moon call-in things for a few months. And then I also put a picture of me, and I took my Miss Alamoana sash and I covered it up with a Ms. Hawaii sash, and I put that on my vision board. So that's been in the field. And lastly, I'll add a little link to my Instagram, or just like another picture on here about my visualizations that I created with AI. I used Meta AI I basically told them the color dress I was wearing. I was like, take a picture of me in a black sparkly gown winning Miss Hawaii with a Miss Hawaii sash and a crown. And they made these AI photos. It was like 2 weeks before the show. That's what I was visualizing when I was on stage. And they made them so good, so perfect. When I show you the side by side, like what happened on the stage looks exactly like what I was visualizing, what I was manifesting, what I was drawing in. So it's really incredible how that all happened. And then being number one, like I said, was actually really fun for me because it didn't give me time to overthink. I walked first, for everything, for the onstage question, the interview I did first, for the swimsuit evening gown, and I was like dancing in the back before I got on stage. I was just having fun with it. So I was in this elevated frequency, and I carried that as much as possible, albeit there were many times of stress that, like I said, I thought about dropping out, but for the most part, I was in that frequency. So let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to share before I tap off here. I think that is about it. Again, I'm so grateful for everybody who has followed this page. I also learned how to do my makeup. I'm really proud of myself. I was never a makeup girly, and I bought all this nice stuff. My girlfriend Phoebe, breath first facilitator, I'll tag her down here, but she was my rock throughout this pageant. She helped me get ready. She helped me prep. I have to give my thank yous. But thank you so much to everybody that tuned in. If I missed anything on the pageant world, I apologize. Oh, this gown also, I was visualizing myself in a gown like this. And shortly after I won the pageant, I had an opportunity to model this gown for Beth and Brian. And Beth gifted me this to wear, and I'll tag her. She has amazing, beautiful dresses, gowns, and I'll show you guys. Just stand up real quick. It's gorgeous. It's a long one, and it's got these detailing on it. It's so incredible. And yeah, I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to step in the spotlight, not because I want to be the center of attention, which, don't get me wrong, I don't mind it. But that's not my purpose. That's not my point anymore. I wanted a platform to share my book and my tours. So if you come to Hawaii, come take a tour with Ms. Hawaii. We do sightseeing, hikes, beach days, everything that you can imagine. And then when I release my book, comment below. Feel free to leave me your email address or slide into my DMs on Instagram and drop your contact information. I'm keeping a list of everybody that wants to purchase the book. It's a self-help book, and I think it will serve as a really good guide for people that may feel stuck, may feel overworked, may just be unsure of their next steps, because that's how I was for a really long time. And I want to speak to that. I want to help you. I want to help people along on their journey. So I'm grateful for all of you guys for listening in, for all of my friends who helped me throughout the pageant journey. The craziest part beyond all of this, by the way, is I thought for sure I would not want to compete on the national level after I won, because it was just too much and not really how I want to be spending my time. However, I loved being on the stage. I was not nervous at all. I enjoyed it so much. I had so much fun with it. And that part was easy. That was just like, all right, we did this, let's go. And it was a blast. And then I found out that the Miss United USA, it's for the Miss USA title, the pageant for that, for the nationals, will be held in Daytona Beach, Florida. So it's 2 hours from where I moved here from. I moved here from Tampa. So all my friends and family will be able to come. Oh, back behind me is Mrs. Hawaii, Melissa, who nominated me, and then me when we did a parade, by the way. So this is just all my stuff, and now you get a little extra sight of what's going on back here in the pageant world. And thank you so much. Mahalo, aloha, and I'll see you guys next time.